have, if you're a person who is in one of our recovery programs or has seen some of our YouTube videos, we would love to answer your questions, any inquiries that you might have. Uh, some more medical questions or things that would be best for a medical professional, such as Dr. David, to answer. Like those things, those questions, we might have to skip them, or we'll just answer to the best of our knowledge.
Yes.
So for now, what we're gonna do is we're already kind of warming up during our set. We're gonna go ahead and
Let's see.
look at the first question here. Let me see if there's anything in the super chat first. Okay, I have a. There's Kimberly. Hey, Kimberly, how's
Hi.
it going? Thank you for joining us. We have our first really good question here. It's from Joe.
Joe.
It's about barefoot shoes. So it says, barefoot shoes, wide toe boxes, proprioception, less stress on the knees than cushion shoes, better for feet strength and knee arthritis. Thoughts? Yes. So I'll answer this question in a more nuanced way. Anything that allows you to feel the ground a little bit better when you walk is gonna be better for you. However, if right now your knees are sensitive, if you're at a stage in your knee arthritis recovery that you're still swollen, or that just the act of walking or weight bearing actually hurts your knees, then you would do better with a cushioned shoe. However, you actually want to work. You want to work into actually being able to use more barefoot style shoes, but that's gonna take a little bit of training. Exercises like scrunching your toes, maybe even doing some heel raises like you've seen on this channel. That's the stuff that is going to make your feet stronger, and it's going to make it so that you can take more advantage of using more barefoot style of shoes. Really good question, Joe. But yes, that's exactly how you would do it. So you would start with a more cushion shoe if you're in the early phases of your recovery, and then move into more minimalistic shoes. And I believe we have another one from. Okay, so we have three questions for Joe from Joe actually here. Okay, you want to take?
I'll take the next one. Warm up, brother.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey,
Thank you, thank you.
guys. Seated calf raises utilize less quad activation and feel better on the knees than standing. Yeah, that can work. That can work. I think that whatever feels comfortable is better, right? So we do have heel raises in the knee arthritis recovery program. And I don't know, Raul, you want to demonstrate some heel raises, bro?
Yeah. So heel raise is gonna look like this. So you're gonna press your toes straight into the ground, and then you're gonna bring your heels up as high as you can. If you're just getting started with heel raises, you might want to hold on to something like, for example, like I have like this probably right here in front of me. You're just gonna press your toes into the ground, and you want to hold for 10 seconds up at the highest position.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to feel is you don't want to just feel your calf muscle. You want to feel this muscle right here called the posterior tibialis along with your calf muscle. So you want the whole lower leg when you do a calf raise. And then if you hold it for 10 seconds, even better.
Yeah, and that 10-second hold is crucial. So that way you can truly feel the engagement, right, of the certain muscle group that you're intending on targeting. But that's subjective. If sitting down feels better for your calf raises, totally stick to them. Just make sure you're engaging your toes and really activating, using that 10-second hold to your advantage. Thank you for your question, Joe. I'll knock out this next one. Consistently stronger glutes, lower core and feet, less quad and TFL activation. Still no knee improvement. Thoughts? How long have you been working on those specific muscle groups? And the reason I ask, it takes time to get ourselves into these situations where we do have symptoms of knee arthritis. So I don't think it's anything that can change in a week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It takes time, just like any other fitness routine. It takes a little bit of consistency, paying attention to how intensely you're also doing certain exercises, and just being adamant. And first of all, having the mindset of like, all right, I'm actively working towards something. So I'm going to think first and foremost, it's going to work. It just takes a little bit of time. So just give it a little bit of time. I would also include massaging. Very beneficial, calming down the thigh muscles, the quads, the hamstrings, letting them relax, and really training our glutes to be the main driving force there. That is going to help. It takes time, though. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Keep up with all your sleep, your hydration, your nutrition. All those small things add up in combination with, of course, exercising. So stick to it, Joe. Reach out to us, man. Let's get you some recovery coaching, and we can help lead you to the promised land, my brother.
Put a little bit more weight on the push press. All right, so can you show or explain how to activate the glutes while walking? Yeah, okay, so super simple. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you are able to activate your glutes when you're standing in the first place. And might not be able to see much here unless I tilt it. But before you take your first step, you should try and scrunch your butt muscles like this. You don't have to do much. You don't have to squeeze them too tight. Once you squeeze your glutes, you need to make sure that you're not letting go of this tension when you're taking your steps. For me, this is the simplest method that you can use. It can get a little bit more hair split it into, like, you need to squeeze one buttock as you take a step and whatnot. It can get complicated, but the simplest way to do this is squeeze both. Squeeze both, keep them on, keep them tight, and then take your steps without letting go. That's gonna allow you to learn the skill super quickly. I hope that answers your question, Kimberly. I have this question from Joe that talks about overutilizing glutes. Are standing and walking with a constant posterior pelvic tilt to activate the glutes ultimately detrimental? It's not very possible, and I'll tell you why. Overutilizing the glutes, I don't think you have to worry about that too much. The way that we live now, we usually have office jobs where we sit on our butt for very long hours. So like our butt tends to be very stretched out, and it gets weakened by these pressures and this over lengthening. Even if you try, it's really hard to overtrain your glutes. You might, if you're a person who lifts really heavy weights and does a lot of sprinting, and if you're like in your younger years where you carry a lot of muscle mass in your frame, then it could be a possibility. But I don't think that's something that you should be too worried about, overutilizing the glutes. I don't think it's a big deal. On the contrary, I think 99.9% of people out there, especially people with arthritis or people with knee and hip pain, have the complete opposite problem, like underutilized glutes. So I wouldn't worry too much about overutilizing. I would actually encourage you to try to overtrain them. Like, actually try, and then if you end up having a negative result out of overdoing your glutes, it's probably not going to happen until you have done this for several years with a lot of intensity, a lot of intention, and probably very heavy exercises.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach. Pete, thank you for your question. So I have a reoccurring Baker cyst from a meniscus tear from running and basketball 16 years ago. I replaced those activities with swimming and biking about 2 years ago, and the Baker cyst came back. That is a tall tale sign that we have a muscular imbalance. And that imbalance is forcing the fluids of your knee joint to find a place to escape, right? So that's where that Baker cyst forms in the back of the knee there. It's simply just letting your body know, or letting you know, hey, there's some forces that are just not healthy on the knee joint. So in combination with your swimming and biking, have you learned to utilize your glutes? We do have a meniscus tear recovery program that I feel may be beneficial for you. If it's been a while, that knee arthritis program may be something you want to look into, but we have plenty of free videos on our YouTube channel, so definitely check those out. But in combination with your swimming and your biking, I would make sure I'm using my glutes to their most efficient form, right? So glute bridges, mini squats, even just simply just learning how to squeeze your butt muscles and engage those properly will carry you a long way. So it's good that you replace some things, but I don't want you to be sedentary, man. I'm not going to tell you to stop. I just think you got to focus a little bit more on your glute strength and your feet, right? Your feet play such a huge role on controlling the angle of the lower leg and just how you're able to absorb forces that go through the knee joint. So give the glutes a shot, my friend. Let's see. I think you had a little bit more come on to that. Yeah, so same thing, man. Good thing using the cane, the brace. That's just letting you know that when you ease that tension and compression, you're finding results. So long-term results are going to be strengthening the glutes, the feet. Check out our YouTube channel. Plenty of free videos there for you to check out. If you need any help, please reach out to our office and let us help you, man.
Okay, let's see.
Let's see, Jane, I have right glute pain, particularly when I stretch or side bend. Think it was brought on by a lot of walking I did. My physio said it's a hip flexor problem. Catches me sometimes when I turn in bed.
Yeah, sounds
Get
like
that one?
Yeah. Hey, Jane. This sounds like early onset signs of a hip bursitis or a hip tendonitis. I think your physio is right in saying that it's probably a hip flexor problem. You probably have a hip flexor that is over dominant. And it's not just your hip flexors, probably it's your flexors, your quads, your low back, just like a combination of everything. What I would encourage you to do, first of all, is try not to stretch it. Try not to overbend and overstretch, because if you also have a bit of a nerve problem, stretching and bending, that nerve is probably going to make it worse. What I will focus on is give yourself a good massage in the front area of the hip. So that's going to be the front of the thighs, the hip flexors. Nothing too strenuous. Like you want to use maybe a massage, you're going to do it for like a minute or so, several times a day. This is not going to fix the problem, but what it's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to feel your glutes better when you try to exercise them. So I would do first a massage, about a minute massage on my hip flexors, and then I would go ahead and do a glute exercise. There's options, like you could do a tiny squat or you could do a bridge, but I wouldn't bend. I wouldn't side bend, and I wouldn't stretch it, and I wouldn't make it vibrate too much, because that's gonna stress that muscle even more and your nerve. But yeah, just give it a try and let us know how that goes. But for sure, you need to work on that imbalance. Your flexors are probably way stronger than your glutes. Not just the flexors, but the front side of your thighs. I have what I want to check here is the super chat. Let me see if any of you guys have posted a question through super chat. We'll try to make sure that we take a look at that right now. Okay.
I think it usually pops up.
Oh, it pops up? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Perfect. All right. Have Cobb OB. Hi, David. I want to run again. When I walk, my knee swells up and hard to bend. Pain along the inside, below my kneecaps. Same side calf feels pressure. And you have a sciatica injury from February. And you've done your butt stretch help. Okay, yeah. It seems like your knee is not ready to take on a lot of walking right now. My main concern here is that if your knee is already getting easily irritated, if you keep on irritating yourself like that, it's gonna take longer for you to be able to run. What I would do instead is I would go through a process where you're offloading that knee, and you can offloading can look different for everyone. Or you could just be taking more sitting breaks, or you might need to actually use a cane. And I know that sounds like a lot, but sometimes you just have to take weight off of your knee so that it doesn't get swollen, and you need to not walk too much. After that, I would encourage you to check out our YouTube videos. There's a YouTube video that we have in which we talk about how to walk with using your glutes. If you can teach yourself how to use your glutes better when you walk, you're gonna avoid flaring your knee out more. But I would first start with offloading, taking it easy on your knee until it doesn't swell up that easily. After that, start training your glutes. And you can do this with many different exercises. You can do clamshells. You can even just squeeze your buttocks in place. You just need to do a lot of this. And you need to avoid any direct thigh work, like leg extensions, hamstring curls, all that kind of stuff can irritate your knee even more because there's a lot of pressure already inside your knee. So give that a try. I would also encourage you to, we have a playlist on YouTube called Knee Arthritis Help. If you just put it on YouTube, Knee Arthritis Help, that'll pop up the free playlist that we have there. Just follow that advice. If you need more guidance, we have the Knee Arthritis program. I think you could benefit from that a lot. But I hope that answers your question, COB. I have Doulas G1. Let me see what Doulas has to say here. Is hip rotation a bad thing? No, hip rotation is bad and hurting my knees. What can I do? You're probably talking about hip internal rotation. Because I'll say this, so hip internal rotation, your knee coming in, it's an action of your adductors. And adductor strength or having adductors that are stronger than your glutes can correlate to knee pain. If you're talking about a hip external rotation, then you're probably co-activating your glutes with your thigh muscles. So you need to figure out a way in which you can get your glutes to do all of the work when you externally rotate so that you're not co-activating or you're not making your thigh muscles get stiff. Knee pain often comes from stiffness in the quad. So if you're using your quads a lot or you're using your adductors a lot, that's your answer. That's where the knee pain could be coming from. So find a way to isolate your glutes in hip external rotation. It's not really possible in internal rotation, but in hip external rotation, you need to learn how to use your glutes on their own. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Gotcha.
Put some weight on that stuff, boy. I guess part 2 of that was, do you give PT recommendations for other states that believe like you do about hip surgery? I think you guys got a rare gem here with Dr. David. I don't think there's very many that think and focus on the muscular imbalance like he does. Good thing for you is we do offer virtual consultations through our clinic. If you'd like to meet with one of the doctors there, I think that would be great to try out first, see what the recommendations are, find out exactly what's going on with your specific situation, and then move on from there. But I do believe that Dr. Dave would have a few colleagues I'll have to check with him on that one, all right? Let's see. Juanita Lopez. I am 7 weeks post-rotator cuff surgery. Can I start to use weights yet? Now, if you're still post-op, you should still have contact with your surgeon and your physical therapist that they might have sent you to. I would totally check in with them first and see what they advise in terms of outpatient care for your post-op physical therapy. From there, they might have you just do some easy stuff without weights, but definitely check in with them first. When you're cleared from them, come over to us. Let us help you out. We do have a video on YouTube demonstrating some very easy to do exercises to help with rotator cuff tear. So definitely check in with your surgeon and your physical therapy there, and then get a clearance and let us know. Marie, if I'm having recent low back pain, what muscle groups would be beneficial to work on? So Marie, thank you for your question. That's very good. Lower abdominals, glutes, and then of course, just maybe you might have some tight hip flexors, right? The front of your hips may be overly tight. So I would definitely massage, right? First and foremost, massage those areas, but definitely working on your lower abdominals gonna help with easing some of the tension and compression on the low back. And then of course, strengthening your glute muscles will definitely help you out a lot there. So if I have to tell you any muscles to focus on there, it'd be lower abdominals and your glutes, and then in combination with massage, really get the front of the thigh, the hip flexor area, the quads to calm down a little bit so they can stop tugging and pulling and maybe causing you some tension and in your low back. Andy.
Hey, Andy, thank you for joining us. Is it possible to straighten out the slight bow in the legs? It is possible if it has gotten worse recently. What's more possible is to stop it from getting more bowed out. Probably what's happening right now, you're having an issue in your hips that is often called is a posterior rotation of the hip or the femur. Like it's just bowing out this way. It could come from loss of muscle mass in the glutes. That often leads to more pressure in the knee. So like you tend to have like this outer kind of shape, like this bow leg to the knees. If it's more recent, if it's something that has been developing over the course of the years, it is possible to stop it from getting worse. Whether it's gonna get super corrected to you having like a completely straight leg, it's hard to say. But things that you can already work on today would be getting your feet stronger. Your ankles need to get a lot stronger. And I'm not just talking about the ankles, like the tendon in general. You need to get your calves and your posterior tibialis muscles stronger. All of these are muscles of the lower legs. And you also, of course, need to get your glutes way stronger so that this ball in the legs doesn't keep on progressing. But you can absolutely stop it from getting worse. I hope that answers your question, Andy. I have Melissa Roberts next. I want to start doing deadlifts. Great. How much weight should you use, and can you show proper technique? Absolutely. Jay, sorry, my brother, I'm gonna have to make you do another set. All right, so I'm gonna carefully point this device out in this direction to give it a little bend there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna coach you through some deadlifts real quick here. Also, what's important to know before you even do anything is the best way to start learning deadlifts is with bumper plates. And the reason why bumper plates are great is because bumper plates can go as light as 10 pounds. Look, I can literally grab this with just my hand. Very lightweight, but the diameter in these plates is high enough or is tall enough that you can teach yourself how to do a deadlift with very low risk of injury.
Yes.
Also, there's barbells that weigh less than 45 pounds. There's some barbells out there that only weigh 35 pounds. We're using a 45-pound barbell right now because that's what they have at the gym. But you can get one of those. I would get a 35-pound barbell and maybe a 10-pound weight just so you can teach yourself how to deadlift. And if it's too easy, you can always bump up the weight. Okay, so one of the first things that we're gonna do here in the deadlift is gonna be the setup. I like for people to walk up to the bar and for the stance to be no wider than shoulder width apart. Now, what Jay is gonna do here is he's gonna look with his eyes at his feet and he's gonna make sure that the barbell is cutting right on top of where his shoelaces are actually knotted. Now, another thing that Jay is gonna do is he's gonna make sure that his feet are turned out a little bit. That's gonna allow you to use your glutes better. Now, the second thing that we're gonna do is he's gonna squeeze his buttocks and he's gonna squat down to the bar. Now, when the shins actually touch the barbell, this is a really good shin angle because it's gonna allow him to use his glutes. He's gonna use his thighs on, but his glutes are gonna be way closer to the bar. Now, what he's gonna do is he's gonna rectify his spine a little bit. He's just gonna look straight ahead. This is not overly important, but it's gonna set him up for success in a deadlift. Now, the next thing he's gonna do is he's gonna push his knees out against his forearms very slightly. From here, what he's gonna do, he's gonna press against the ground and squeeze his buttocks. He's gonna finish by pushing his hips through. Let's do another one. Now, this is important. He's not overextending his back. He's staying pretty neutral here because that allows him to use his glutes, and he's got a very stacked position. No overextending, his low back is not gonna overwork, and his glutes are gonna do most of the work.
Woo!
Then you can put it down. On the deadlift, you don't have to do a lot of repetitions to make it effective. Anything in between 3 to 5 repetitions should be good to start. You can, of course, build yourself up to do sets of 10 repetitions if you want. But Honestly, anything in the range that makes your glutes actually work out really well, that's all you need to do. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Wow.
By the way, I'm really, let me see if I can fix this here. I'm really proud of anyone who's willing to take on deadlifts. It's a visually appalling lift in that it can be cumbersome to look at. Like you can look at a deadlift and you can be like, man, that looks like a tough guy kind of thing, or that looks like or like it looks like it could hurt me, but that deadlift won't hurt you, especially if you are meticulous about your approach and you're careful. And you don't have to be overly careful. You just gotta be prudent when you start deadlifting. And do a nice warm-up. A nice, good warm-up will set you up for success.
Yes. I love the deadlift. Wow, that hold at the top got me, guys. Sheesh. All right, Joseph. Thank you for your question, man. How do I differentiate if I have micro instability or just a weak hip? I am 5.5 months post-op of left hip surgery and cannot walk more than 5 to 10 minutes with my left lower back getting involved. It seems my left leg gets jammed when I walk. How do I focus on activating my deep glute stabilizer without involving my back and have congenital fused left L5-S1 on the operative side? Man, so Joseph, first, man, I'm sorry you've been dealing with that. I think post-op, and this is something that Dr. Dave is pretty adamant about when it comes to having surgery. They're cutting through muscle, and you're having to recover. So muscles that are already weak, they're already imbalanced. That imbalance grows significantly while you're recovering. So been there, done that. Now, just some things that you can do. In your case, we talk about the amount of time you need to walk in order for it to be beneficial for aerobic exercise and glute involvement or glute strengthening. Walking probably isn't at the top of the list in terms of exercises I would start doing if I'm trying to get back into feeling those glute stabilizers, as you call them, to calling those, to get involved, to wake up and start to really help, right? So I would start with just simply learning how to squeeze your butt muscles, hold for 10 seconds, and repeat. Try anywhere from 10 to 20 repetitions with a 10-second hold. That is very important, very crucial. And what that does, that 10-second hold, it helps you to build that mind-muscle connection, right? You're calling motor recruitment. So you're calling upon more muscle cells within your glutes to get involved. When you first start doing your glute squeezes, you might only feel like a little part of your glute get tight. But with more frequency, the more you do it with the 10-second hold, that should really just wake up those muscle fibers, those muscle cells, and get them involved so you have a much stronger contraction. Another thing that I would do is simply massage, right? Just kind of relaxing, not overdoing it in terms of the intensity you're using while squeezing your glutes, because you can tend to flare up your back a little bit. So just start light, start easy, and just build yourself up. You have to think about it. Surgery is almost like a car wreck, so to speak, right? And now you have some equipment in your body, right, that you have to adjust to. So just give it a little bit of time. We do have a playlist on YouTube that you can check out, but hey, if you want to join in on that hip arthritis recovery program, come and join us, and we'll teach you everything from phase 1 on up to phase 4, and you'll be doing some of these deadlifts and stuff here with us. Yeah.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
take.
Take
What's
this-
it? Yeah. Let's take it from. Do you have it the other way? My apologies. Hey, Lucy. Okay, so what's this? Hi, I've had a shoulder pain in my left shoulder from overhead pressing and bench pressing for about 4 months now.
Ooh,
I don't know what to do. Will I be able to press again?
upper trap.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So, as a matter of fact,
Am I in range?
yeah, you're in range there. Well, first of all, like, if you learn how to do this, like press and use your upper chest, you learn how to do that, like how to shrug. You're gonna learn how to use more muscles than just the muscles of your rotator cuff. This is gonna allow you to actually get stronger and give your rotator cuff more stability. 9 out of 10 injuries in the shoulder are rotator cuff injuries. That's why I'm mentioning this. Fun fact, I have a completely torn right pec tendon, a torn rotator cuff tendon up here, and maybe I have something else, but the way that I rehab myself was by just making myself be able to shrug. I just didn't have that ability. Once I learned how to shrug with some weights, once I got like stronger up here, stronger in other key muscles, I was able to get back to bench pressing and overhead pressing. So don't worry about it. It's just, you're gonna have this setback for a little while. What I would do is, I would just back off, learn how to shrug with your hands over. And then that's not the only thing that you need to learn how to do. You need to learn how to tuck your shin as well. A lot of people are a little bit weaker in these deep neck flexor muscles. So if you learn how to tuck your shin while you shrug overhead, you'll be able to work yourself into being able to overhead pressing again, and then being able to bench press again. Just give it some time. And now I know this looks not conventional, but upper trap strength is very crucial. Like if you've been around this channel and hear how much we talk about the glutes and how important they are for knee and hip stability, your upper traps are in essence the glutes of the upper body. They're just a huge set of muscles. It's just like one of those vital muscles that we need to get stronger in to give full support to your shoulders. So do that. Just make sure that right now you're not irritating your shoulder. If any type of bench pressing or overhead pressing is causing you a flare up, you need to just back off, not use weights for now, and then just gradually work your way up to lifting some weights again. Guys, we're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna have to leave. We apologize for how short the live stream is today. It's just Coach James and I have a few one-on-one coaching sessions that we have to get to right after this. But let's go to these. Last one from Tommy Richard. Tommy Richard says, I'm having low back pain, low back lipomas removed. I'm thinking these are what's causing my pain because we can't find any other reason. Have you heard of back mice? I'm not familiar with the term back mice, but it is possible that if you have lipomas in your low back, that any type of flexion or extension of your spine could cause you back pain just because you have a lot of nerve roots around the spinal cord. And if you, if any kind of flexion and extension makes it hurt, then chances are that if you remove those lipomas, you're gonna get more mobility. After these lipomas are removed, you need to work on your lower abdominal muscles. You need to get them really strong. Your lower abdominal muscles or the musculature of the lower abdominal wall usually helps with movement in your lower vertebrae, the vertebrae of your lower back. So if you get stronger in those muscles, you'll get a lot of your mobility and strength back. So everyone, we ended up not seeing any super chats that we needed to respond to. Apologize for not getting to more questions. Oh, thank you, Kimber.
Thank
Kimberly.
you.
Yeah, we're really happy. Thanks to our amazing media team here. Thanks to Dr. David, all the amazing information that he's putting out. So everyone, if you are thinking about joining one of our recovery programs, we highly recommend it. The recovery programs, all of them have a lot of videos. Some of them have over 40 videos, a community that looks like a Facebook kind of community, live coaching with Dr. David that happens every Thursday. And we also have one-on-one recovery coaching sessions with us, the coaches, aside from endless support that you can get from our customer success team. So if you're interested, don't hesitate, reach out and do that. If you're not ready to make the commitment, we have a bunch of playlists on YouTube that you can also access completely for free.
Yes.
You don't even have to comment. You don't even have to give us a like, although that would be nice. But if you do that, you'll find a lot of really good information in there. And make sure you bring all of these wonderful questions to the next live stream if we were not able to get to yours. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks
Bye.
for joining us today.